Hello. Well, money expert Martin Lewis has had a fiery exchange with Lisa Nandy MP over the winter fuel payments. I'm going to take a look at it. Also, the government has made a major budget decision that pay-per-mile car tax will not be included when Reeves unveils her first budget on October the 30th. But is that too good to be true? Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello there, and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters, still has relevance, and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. Right, I'm going to enjoy this. Martin Lewis has had a fantastic interview with Lisa Nandy on Good Morning Britain, in which he totally shredded her for not reaching out to the poorest and hardest to reach in society, who are entitled to pension credits but who have not applied. She sounds in this clip as if she's saying all the right things, but what do you think? Let's take a look.
780,000 pensioners on below £11,400 a year are not going to get the winter fuel payment because they don't get pension credit. There are systems that could be put in place to fix it. Why are you defending this?
Well, we are working really hard to put systems in place to fix it, making sure that we're targeting help at those who most need it. We've had a huge drive to get the poorest pensioners onto pension credit. We've had 115% uplift in the numbers that are claiming over the last couple of months.
There is a huge flaw in what you've just said, Lisa. Let's talk about those below the threshold. Those people who are eligible for pension credit, 780,000 of them, who you believe should get the winter fuel payment of up to £300, who are already missing last year's cost of living payment. Yes, there's an uplift of 115%, but that's an increase of a maximum £20,000 a month. It would take you 4 years before all these people were claiming pension credit. The poorest pensioners, the poorest, under £11,400, you believe they should get pension credit and winter fuel, but they're not going to claim. They're the hardest to reach. You're not writing individual letters to them. You're not linking it to attendance allowance and housing benefit. There's lots you could do. So to try and talk about we're targeting the poorest, the truth is you're not targeting them. Why aren't you writing them bloody letters?
Oh, well, we are.
Apologies.
No, it's fine. And I know how strongly you feel about it. You just said to me, you're not writing bloody letters. Well, we are. And I just wanted to explain that because I don't want people to think that for a moment we're going to leave people high and dry. It is extremely challenging. You have people, for example, who've got dementia or other reasons why they've not applied for pension credit. They need far more support to be able to navigate the system. That's why we're working with local councils all over the country. My council in Wigan is writing out to everybody who they think is eligible. We've gone through all sorts of routes, like we have people who are on the assisted bin collection list who we've identified as maybe a particularly vulnerable group. We're going door to door to make sure that if we're not getting a response, that we're going and knocking on people's doors and finding out whether they're eligible or not. And we're working with councils all over the country to make sure that happens.
Okay. A lot of creative ways there to reach those people, but Martin comes straight back at her with this angry response.
So I'm sorry, I disagree on that. So first of all, are all councils doing it? But you say the evidence is, you're talking an uplift of 115%. You've gone from 20,000 a month claiming pension credit to 40,000 a month, but there are 780,000 people. You would need an exponential rise in the number of people claiming pension credit for those pensioners to claim this year. We have to accept, you have to accept, there will be many hundreds of thousands of the poorest pensioners under £11,400 income you will not reach this year. You are taking money out of their hands. Do you accept the truth? The reality is that's what will practically happen. I'm saying it, Age UK is saying it, others are saying it. So let's be honest, you're willing to accept that collateral damage of hundreds of thousands of poorest pensioners, many on dementia, not getting the winter fuel payment?
No, I'm not willing to accept that.
But it's going to happen.
It's one of the reasons why we've extended the cut-off point to apply until April next year, so that even if people don't realise right now, despite this sort of conversation happening on national media, even if they don't see this, if they don't realise, if they don't respond to the letters, if we don't manage to catch them door to door in the run-up to Christmas and they find out later that they were eligible, they can still apply and they will get it backdated. And the reason that we've done that, and the reason that we made this announcement early and we haven't wasted a moment in going out to people, is to make sure that people know that even if they don't apply immediately, they don't have to worry about putting the heating on this winter.
Nandy then tried to blame the last government for not campaigning about pension credits to get those nearly 800,000 pensioners signed up. But Martin didn't let it get away with that either. Take a look.
We've inherited a situation where for 14 years there has been no drive to get the poorest people onto pension credit and get them the money that they're entitled to.
Let's be straight. When you're talking about there's been no campaign on pension credit, it is your government who chose to link the winter fuel payment to pension credit. You chose that metric, not anybody else. You can't put that on the past government. I just want you to say to me, how many people do you think by next April will be eligible for pension credit, so under 11,400 income, the poorest in society, and will not have claimed it? Because I'm willing to bet a lot of money it'll still be substantially north of over 500,000. So you have to accept that. And what are you going to do for those people who'll never apply because they're not in a mental position to answer the 240 question potential list of applying for pension credit?
Well, Martin, I don't want to make a bet with you. I want to work together to fix it. That's the ambition and the intention of our government. We are the Labour Party and we don't leave the poorest people behind.
We don't leave the poorest people behind. So what about those 2 million or so pensioners who just fall outside the threshold? They too are the poorest in society. And what about them? Because it sounds to me as if they're being well left behind. And what about this cut-off date? They have until April next year to claim, and then they'll get the winter fuel payment backdated. Well, a fat lot of good that is, when they probably don't even know that, and they've had the mental trauma of trying to find the money over the winter period to pay their bills. There are millions of pensioners, I would suggest, who don't really need the winter fuel payment. It's great to have, and it takes some of the pain away when it comes to paying the energy bills, but it's not life or death. So if you're listening, Mr. Government, here's what you should do. Cancel the cancellation of the winter fuel payment for this year, and then sort out your metrics for next winter, and spend the whole year working out how to ensure everyone who actually needs the payment gets it. That's only my opinion. What's yours? After this quick break, we've got an update for you about the rumoured pay per mile road tax scheme. I'll see you in a mo. Hello and welcome back. Now then, amid rumours and reports that drivers could be charged a per mile road tax, a government spokesperson, I hate that expression, spokesperson, has said that there are no plans to introduce road pricing. He, she, it, they said, we are committed to supporting our automotive sector as we transition to electric vehicles in order to meet our legally binding climate targets. You know, it really must hurt them not to bring it in, but I guess they've chickened out, given the furore over the winter fuel payments and plans to make working pensioners pay NI for pensions they've already got. So, whilst there's good news about the pay per mile, not the NI, the cynic in me says that it'll come in at some point. And my first question is, are those climate targets mentioned by the spokesperson really legally binding? Well, yes, they are, thanks to Sunak's government, who published them in December 2022. I doubt anyone would criticise the ethos behind the stated objectives, which are to clean up our environment, clean up our air and rivers, and boost nature. The issue I, and no doubt many of you, will have is its implementation. And take the net zero targets. Totally unnecessary, in my opinion, considering we're one of the lowest carbon emitting countries in the world. So let's just shut down our steelworks so they have to move production abroad, compelling us to import steel we need. at a massive cost in terms of transport pollution to get it here. Then there's the ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars in less than 6 years' time. It's simply ridiculous. It'll probably take several decades to rid our streets of normal cars, but will that be enough time to enable the population, including young people and pensioners of the time, to be able to afford new electric vehicles? And don't forget, the second-hand electric car market will be swamped with cars whose batteries are at the end of their useful lives. And that will be a huge financial burden and probably kill off the market for used cars completely. Also, consider the millions of drivers who have no option but to park on the street outside their homes. How do they charge their vehicles? Are they expected to trail extension leads across the pavement, or maybe pay for the installation of curbside charging ports? More expense that many people won't be able to afford. It all feels very rushed to me and a total waste of time. And it also feels like it's a concerted effort to get all forms of vehicles off our streets. The legislation for the climate also compels the government to halt the decline in species populations and then increase them by at least 10% by 2042. And that's fine. It's realistic and it's necessary. They also have to restore our water bodies to their natural state by cracking down on harmful pollution from sewers and abandoned mines. Yeah, okay, realistic and necessary. They also have to restore 70% of the designated features in our marine protected areas. That's brilliant. However, they also aim to, inverted commas again, improve water usage in households. So for improve, I reckon you could substitute the word reduce. They want to reduce water usage in households. And how will they achieve that? If advice and education doesn't do it, I can see smart meters becoming compulsory and water charges going through the roof to disincentivise water usage in the home. Maybe they'll make the installation of baths illegal in new homes, or will be compelled to fit timers to showers. And access to water is a basic human right, but smart meters for gas, water and electricity would actually give the government, via the utility companies, the power to physically restrict usage. Check it out, this isn't a conspiracy theory. Many appliances are already fitted with smart chips that will enable them to be remotely blocked during peak usage. It feels like we're heading for a dystopian future. It seems like it's on the horizon, doesn't it? The government also wants to make us ditch perfectly usable boilers for inefficient and horrendously expensive heat pumps. Now, amongst all the good stuff is all that crud that they want to force on us. And how are people on lower incomes and pensions supposed to achieve all that? They're already fretting about how to install new boilers to keep warm with the winter fuel payment they no longer get. Yeah, it makes me so mad. Martin Lewis for Prime Minister is what I say. That's all for now, folks. Let your feelings be known about this and the other topics we've covered in this edition. And in the meantime, thank you for joining us, thanks for subscribing, and it's bye for now.